Hello, Minecraftians. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Realm News. I am your host, the Dark Lord, the one who puts the real in Realm and expands your mind one block at a time. I am here today to present to you a very special guest that I had the honor to speak with. They are a major figure in the Minecraft universe who has been in the game for many years now. You have more than likely heard of them. I am talking about Jigarbov, the person in charge of Jigarbov Productions. They have made amazing maps, such as the 2011 Eronev Mansion Adventure, all the way to today's Infinity Skyblock or Papercraft Adventure. Maybe you remember last year's April Fool's prank in 2024 made by Mojang, the poisonous potato update. Well, Jigarbov Productions made that as an add-on for Bedrock. They have done so much that it is impossible to list all they've done in today's show. So, better yet, how about we just hear from Jigarbov himself? I am ready when you are. Let's start the show. Hello and welcome back to a brand new Realm News. Today I have a very special guest on the show. They are a well-known Minecraft modder whom you have probably heard of. I would like to welcome Jigarbov to the show. Hello, Jigarbov. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
And I know we just talked about this, but could you just tell me how to pronounce your name again?
So the quote-unquote correct pronunciation is Jigarbov with the long R, like a pirate. Or you could just, a lot of people just call me Jigarbov. I've heard Jigarbov before. Or just Jig is probably the easiest.
Okay, great. I'm glad you cleared that up for me because I was curious about that all day. I appreciate that. I want to just jump right into it. I want to let me see here. I want to know how you became acquainted with map making, add-ons, and downloadable content. Could you just tell me a little bit of exactly what you do first for everybody out there?
Yeah,
And
I
how you
mean
became
that's
acquainted with that?
it's a very big question. I started map making because I needed a creative outlet, and Minecraft was a good way to do that. So, like before Minecraft, I was playing Little Big Planet, and before that, like I messed around with Game Maker. Played Mario Maker for a bit too when that came out. Basically, any sort of digital creative medium I gravitate towards. And Minecraft is a really good and easy way of doing that. So, I mean, that's how I started and that's how I chose Minecraft.
That's really interesting. And so you got into Minecraft right at the beginning of it when it was released, or were you in development days?
In the development days, I started in alpha, and then obviously beta came out. And my first map was in 2011, and that was I think just after release. It was the Piston update. That might have even been still in beta at the time. I'm not sure, but I went to the first Minecon in Vegas, and that was very fun.
That's
neat.
I've
been been a part of the scene for basically the beginning.
How was the first Minecon? I'm sorry, I have to sidetrack off for a little bit. And
No,
ask
that's fine.
I read about that. Honestly,
it was really, really fun. Very low key and scrappy is probably the best way to the best way to describe it. But it certainly found its way, I guess, over the years. I think the funniest part, so I applied to be a panelist at that first Minecon, and it was like a map making panel. The recording's on YouTube somewhere, and it's terrible.
I saw that today. I actually saw that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so it's like a small room, but the lineup and no one knew like anyone would want to come and talk to a few nobodies about making maps, but the lineup was out the door. It was so like exciting. Yeah, it was really 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 fun.
That's amazing. So you got to go to Vegas and experience that with the whole team, the whole Mojang team there and everything?
Yeah, like the Mojang team at the time, but like it was not very big. Notch was still in charge, and
Mhm.
Jeb was there, and yep, had like one of my best memories of Jeb was there was like it was a big party or one of the first nights, like everyone was like gravitating towards Notch because he was the main, quote unquote main character.
Uh-huh.
Of the dev team, and certainly the most notable. And yeah, like Jeb was just standing there, like sort of by himself in the crowd, and like it was nice to be able to go up to him and have a quick conversation. And then like people started to realize who he was. Yeah, that was
Oh,
fun.
wow, that's really neat. No,
Yeah.
that's super cool. Do you still keep in contact with Jeb and
No,
them?
like that was just a quick conversation.
Ah.
There hasn't been much since. Certainly, yeah.
No,
we're,
that's
we're
still
not
really
best
cool.
friends as much as I'm sure he's a great guy.
Well, that's still really neat that you got to be part of Minecraft history and attend that event. I'm jealous.
Yeah, it was
And
lots
that
of
was a
fun.
great video. Don't sell yourself short on that. I did see that right before recording this, and your video was really good for that panel.
Thanks.
I wanted to ask you. Um, I imagine this takes a lot of technical know-how. What you do, your type of work. I was wondering, does how did your background prepare you for this? Did you go to school for coding, or did you learn
Um,
this yourself?
no, like my background really didn't prepare me. I guess like I've always been interested in computers, and certainly on the more technical side, like assembly, disassembly
Mm,
of computers back in the day. I did go to school for like it was called information technology. I don't know what it's called these days.
mm,
And was in university for a little while. Actually dropped out because I didn't like the content that they were teaching, and I got a job
mm.
at like a computer warehouse. But again, that was all like hardware, and not a lot of like any of the nitty gritty stuff. So after that, like I worked as a movie theater manager,
Oh, wow.
and like that's like the most far removed from coding ever. I guess the biggest thing that taught me was how to deal with people, because we had so many customers come in and out, and like
Mhm.
my employees. So we had the biggest movie theater that I worked at had about 150 employees.
Wow.
And yeah, so like I was the GM of all of that. And that was basically my job prior to Marketplace.
Wow. That's a that's a big theater, okay.
Yeah, it
So
was
so
very
y
busy. Yeah.
so while you were managing a theater, you said you were managing, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Um, so you were also pursuing, your passion for computers, the hardware side, and what got you into the software or developing, yeah, the
Yeah.
software?
I was working in a movie theater, and I just like making games. And like it wasn't like for any particular reason. It was just fun seeing things that I made in the world. A friend introduced me to Minecraft, and it's like, oh, you should play this game because you like playing games.
Mhm.
And I opened it up, and I'm like, oh, this looks actually terrible, and I don't think I'm going to play it. And then it was like the first session, like, everyone has their first night, and then they stay up at 3 a.m.
Yes.
Like just getting completely immersed in the world. And so I did that, and I was playing it for a while. And yeah, then like, I started a server with, some family and friends. And then I found myself wanting to um, guide their world a little bit, I guess. So like I would set up like little story scenarios, and have a
Oh,
sign
wow.
and say, go over here, find like a treasure or whatever.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, and then like yeah, like Pistons came out, and like I just liked playing around with redstone. Um, Pistons came out, and I was like, oh, like you could have dialogue on a row of fences, remove those fences, like remove the supports with pistons, and then have an extra row of dialogue behind it. So that was like the first dynamic dialogue system
Oh wow.
in Minecraft. And that, yeah, so that I did that, and I'm like, oh, like I could tell a story doing this. So that's how Eronev Mansion Adventure came around, which is like my first real adventure map.
Okay, and I will get to Eronev here in a bit. I actually do want to touch base a little bit on Redstone. I read about
Sure.
you actually in my Minecraft Redstone guidebook that my brother got me for Christmas, and
That's great.
yeah, for research for my podcast. And I was like, okay, this is amazing. I get I get Jigarbov on the show from the book, and I read in there because it has actually you're mentioning quite a bit in there, and so I read it all, and I wanted to ask, how did Redstone change your experience with Minecraft? So you just mentioned it helped develop these stories. Is that what propelled you into that? Was the Redstone?
Yeah, so like Redstone I just thought was cool. So I really started doing like minecart tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, telling the minecart that they should go left or right some of the time, you know, switch tracks. Pez dispensers is a thing that existed, and overflow protection to stop the minecarts from bouncing off and going somewhere else. This is all before minecarts could go inside dispensers. Um, so, you know, manipulating that and moving the minecarts around was just something that I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I built a station, had multiple different directions based on the buttons you could press, and I thought, oh, like I could use this as a transport method to get people around a map that I wanted to build. And from that, like, I don't know, I played Red Merc Mystery, which was a very, very early map. I would say one of the first fully fleshed out adventure maps.
Oh,
And
neat.
even like if you go back now, it's like a bunch of signs and a bunch of rooms, and like the build was like spectacular. But really, it was just about progressing through this environment and a lot of mystery because there just wasn't a lot of ways to tell that story.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I played that and I was like, oh, like this is a thing where you can make games and adventures and things like that. So that's what I did. And the redstone enabled you, and pistons specifically, enabled you to change the environment in a way that better enables you to tell that story.
That's amazing. I myself am such a novice with Redstone still. I
That's hey, everyone starts somewhere, and like even me, like when I started, I have a video on YouTube, and I have a iron door, a pressure plate on one side, and then the other side I have a piece of dust, and then another pressure plate, or maybe a lever. Um, and I just didn't understand why the door would sometimes not open when I went on the pressure plate. And it's because I had the lever on or off. And like,
oh,
it's just like, yeah, it's like just figuring out how this stuff works. Yeah,
but
is a
you
challenge.
did figure it out and you became a professional with it because you even went on and created a quote unquote jigs guide, correct?
That's yeah, that's right. It's yeah, Jig's Guide Redstone Basics. It's a map that you can get on the marketplace, and it is free. And basically, it has like a short introduction to say like, oh look, these are things that you can do. Um, and then it has a bit of a tutorial that is like, you know, this is a button, this is a lever, this is a pressure plate. You know, this is how far the dust can take the power to change things. And then a whole section dedicated to like what each different redstone thing does. So like it's actually recently updated it this year to include, you know, a room with the auto crafter, and
Mm.
the calibrated skulk sensor. And yeah, so that like there's a
Oh,
room
cool.
for every redstone thing with examples, and this is how you do this, and here's how you interact with repeaters and things like that. And I basically made that because that's what I would have wanted um, when I started. And I think the more people that know how to do redstone introduces them into just the ecosystem of Minecraft as a creative medium outside of just pretty builds,
Hmm.
and then like doing something else with that.
I think it's really neat that you created that because I was watching what would you call it, like your trailer for it. You have
Yeah, yeah.
and I was watching that, and I'm definitely going to download it because, like I said, I'm a novice with Redstone, but you can literally, from what I saw, you can literally interact with it, and in these tutorials, like build
Yeah,
them
that's right.
right and
Yep.
everything. So
Yeah.
I no,
So
I love that.
it gives you the tools and then gives you, information, and it's like, place a button here, see what happens, when you press it. And it's like the tutorial section is all, voiceovered. So you get to hear this voice say all of those things
Nice.
in the map directly. And then, yeah, then it's, basically says go into all of these tools and see what they do, and here's what a piston does, and here how far it works, and here's some of the things you can do with it.
That's awesome, and I love that you have the auto crafter because when that first came out, what was that? The Tricky Trials, right? Trying to think
Yeah,
what
yeah.
update. Okay, the Tricky Trials, and I I got one of those right off the bat when it released, and I still can't figure it out. So I'm going to have to get on your. I haven't really played around with it much, but I was even talking to a friend online. I was like, I asked them if they even tried, and they haven't yet. So I'm going to have to turn them on to your jigs guide and go check that out because that'll be
Yeah,
useful. I want to get
yeah. I
into
mean,
using that auto crafter.
there is a room just for that, and yeah, like I said, it shows you, how to use it, what you can make with it, and then like even has a little setup to show you an example of something that will keep feeding itself. So um, yeah, it's pretty cool.
No, that's awesome. That's a handy source to have. I next want to move on to how you got introduced. Um, we kind of covered it a little bit how you came into the. You said a friend introduced you to the game of Minecraft, correct?
Yep. Yeah, he just said, hey, this is a game that I think you would like.
That's crazy. Are you still friends with them?
No, I haven't spoken to them in a very long time. No, they were an employee at the time at the theater.
Uh,
And yeah, he said, hey, you should do this. I'm like, all right.
wow. And now that pretty much just changed your life. That game, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yes, yes.
That's awesome. So how were you? So that's how you're introduced to Minecraft. Um, and that answered that question for me. But how'd you get introduced to Mojang? Was that through Eronev? My questions kind of linked together here. I guess could you start with Eronev? That was released August 9th, 2011. I have written down. Could you tell
um,
me about that?
if you wrote down the date, then I'll trust you. I don't actually remember. That sounds right, though. Yeah, Erenev Mansion Adventure is a story, open world ish adventure. You unlock different sections, you get tools, and then you can go back to existing places. Kind of Zelda like, I would say,
Hmm.
in a 3D space, and then depending on how many villages you save gives you a different ending. So at the time, that was
Oh.
not done very often either. There's a central location you go back to and talk to a character who you never know whether or not he's a good guy or a bad guy.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, obviously, all is revealed by the end, depending on which ending you get. It was Yeah, it was very successful at the time. Yogscast played it, Captain Sparkles played it. A lot of had a few maps that the big YouTubers at the time played. And but that was really my it was my first real map, and it got a certain amount of success that made me very, very happy, and definitely felt like it was worth the effort. As far as like Mojang, like I don't think they knew any of that stuff. I really
Okay.
only like was introduced to Mojang, like I guess as part of being part of the Minecraft marketplace.
Hmm.
Um, so Eronev Mansion exists. I've got a bunch of other maps, City of Love, Suburbia. There's a lot of different maps that I made for free, just for everyone on Java, just because it was fun. And, you know, a lot of them had quite a lot of success. And then the Minecraft Marketplace came around in 2017. I actually did a panel, I think, either that year or the year before at
Hmm.
one of the Mine Cons um,
Oh,
about
cool.
storytelling. And I think that might have helped me get into the partnership. Basically, they opened up the applications and I applied
Hmm.
and I said, hey, I'm Jigarbov. I have all of this legacy of making content and stuff for free. I would love to be able to quit my job and make do this for a living, because
Oh,
who wouldn't
wow.
love to do that?
Yeah.
And yeah, then they accept me to be a partner. But I think something that I should mention is like I don't work for Mojang, and
Hmm.
like I work for Jigarbov Productions, which is my company, and like we make all of the things that we want to make, and we just put it on the marketplace. So like Mojang doesn't control any of the things that we put on the marketplace. They're just
Hmm.
the shop hosts, more or less.
Interesting. Um, yeah, I'll pick your brains a little bit about like the creative process here in a second. I did want to
Sure.
ask you, just because I'm a, I used to play SimCity when I was younger, and
Yeah, yeah,
so I know you just mentioned Suburbia, and you mentioned that was free and on Java, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
that yeah, can you tell me about Suburbia? What was it? What inspired that?
Yeah, so
What was that like to make?
make no mistake, Suburbia is inspired by SimCity, specifically SimCity pre 2000. So there was a SimCity
Okay.
version on the Super Nintendo
Oh.
that I played a lot, and so I was inspired by that, which is it's less painting residential, commercial, industrial areas, and more like chunks of
Hmm.
those kinds of things. So like SimCity in Minecraft, I don't really know why now, but back in the day, it just seemed like the golden goose that everyone wanted to create in Minecraft in some way,
Really?
um, and like, and I don't really know why, but everyone wanted to do it. Like, there's videos by Simply Sark who wanted to do a SimCity, and lots of other YouTubers and
Hmm.
creators, and it's just like something everyone wanted to be able to do, and like at the time it was very, very hard. Then the
Okay.
clone command came around, and that made it much easier to manipulate the environment in a large way. And
Hmm.
what clone does, it lets you set coordinates of an area and then move that to somewhere else. So the first version of Suburbia on Java, there was like a play field, but then underneath that playing field was like just mountains and mountains of command blocks and builds and things like that that would clone those builds up
Oh, wow.
onto the playing field. So yeah, that's basically that happened, and I figured out a way to have relationships between plots. I've got a video that talks about that early version and how that works. But yeah, so that came out, and like, to huge success. I was thrilled that I got it working. I was thrilled that it was actually fun. Everyone was happy that it worked, and then maybe like a half an update later, Minecraft Java changed like a core piece of functionality, which was dispensing a command block from a dispenser, no longer worked, and that like
Hmm.
basically rendered the entire thing non-playable, and I was like absolutely
Oh no.
crushed. And like from that point, I was like, I don't think I can pour this in. Like it took months to make,
Oh
and from
gosh.
that point, I was like, I don't think I can spend this amount of time to make something only for it to break. Like, it was, I would say, within 3 months.
Oh,
Yeah, it was like, yeah,
that must have been
heartbreaking at the time.
crushing.
Yeah, yeah.
So what did you do? How'd you react to that?
Well, I stopped making maps more or less,
Oh,
completely, and then I think like maybe there was a year of a break, and then I like started to, fiddle around and make some less grandiose scope content.
mm,
But then, yeah, that happened, and I'm like, oh, I just don't think I can do it anymore. And then the marketplace came around, and I said, I would really like to be able to do it for a living, but
mm-hmm.
and there's a big but, it has to like support backwards compatibility. It can't like break immediately. So I will never forget my first. So I applied.
Mm-hmm.
My first call with Mojang at the time, and I said to the guy, I said, like head of marketplace at the time, I said, I like I appreciate that you're ready to give this opportunity. How do you feel about backwards compatibility? Um, and yeah, I just was like, I don't think it's something that I'll be able to do if it's going to break all the time. But
Yeah.
on the positive side, Bedrock has more or less a mandate that, they want to maintain backwards compatibility. And so far, so good. Like I've been doing it for since the beginning, and even maps from 2017, all of them still work,
Oh, cool.
which is amazing. Yeah. So I was very happy about that.
Awesome. No, that's awesome. Um, so that's perfect transition to my marketplace question. We kind of talked a little bit about marketplace, and you said that was 2017 is when you entered that market. I have a quote from your website. It says, "quote unquote," started to get real then.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so I mean, before like I was making stuff mostly to amuse myself, and certainly if other people got enjoyment out of it, or like they made videos or whatever, that was an added benefit. But there's even some maps that I made or some storylines in it that are like made specifically to troll people, and yeah, then like when you're doing it when people are paying you for it, um like that's a whole different thing. Like I don't want to disappoint anyone. I want to make sure it's like the best quality. I want to make sure like I actually care that people are giving me their hard-earned cash, um to have these experiences. So like I put everything I can into making them as best as they can be, so that people aren't wasting their time and their money.
I think that's seen in your work. I downloaded the poison potato add-on, and I had a lot of fun with that too. Just I wanted to, yeah, test it out, and I've been dying to do that for a long time, and I finally did, and yeah, it was a blast. So I
Well,
can definitely see that you do great work, you and your
I,
team.
I appreciate that, though I would say that one in particular I wouldn't count as one of my great works.
Okay, well, I
I mean,
wasn't saying it was, just for my introduction into it. It
yeah.
was really fun.
I would say though, since you said you like SimCity, we did
Mm-hmm.
remake Simburbia in 2022, I think, um, on Bedrock, and it's also free, and that is, I would consider, one of my great works. It is better than the Java version in every way. There's some stuff that we did in it that would just is not possible on Java without mods, and yeah, it's like it's really really good. So I would recommend that.
That's all. I'm going to check it out. I think I saw that during my research, and I was like, okay, I kind of have a list going of you have a lot of you have a lot to offer from what I saw on your site. So
Thanks.
a lot
I do.
a lot for me to look at. I have a question actually from a person who follows you and who is a friend of mine on Twitter who goes by KMB that I wanted to ask you,
Sure.
if you don't mind. They say, or they ask, let me see here if I can find their question. Gosh. Oh, here it is. Should more creators try to get on the marketplace? That was their question.
That's it. That's the whole
That was
question.
it. Yeah.
Like, I mean, as someone who's already on the marketplace, I would say the less that are on the marketplace, the better it is for me. But but
Yeah, as a business standpoint, right?
yeah, exactly. But like the real answer is like if you are passionate about map making, and like want like yes, then the answer is absolutely yes. Like if it's something that you like doing anyway and you're doing it for free, why wouldn't you want to put your stuff on the marketplace where you have the possibility where it can become your job? um
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that I've seen that they're like, oh, I just like making stuff for free and I would never charge for it, and then they go to their job that they hate.
Yeah.
What, like, I don't understand why you wouldn't also want to be able to do what I do, which is the best job in the world, where I get to open up Minecraft every day and create whatever I want. um yeah, like it yes. So
That sounds
if
pretty
it,
amazing.
yeah, like exactly, like who would say no to being able to make a career out of the thing that they are already doing for free? And it's like, I still make free content because I understand and respect that everyone has, a different amount of money that they can give to their entertainment. And at the same time, like, I also recognize that, I, have artists and animators and people that I work with that put
Mhm.
everything into their creations, and that's their time that they're spending doing that instead of going to work. So for that reason, I pay them. So there's people that I pay, and I've got a house that I need to pay my rent on, and groceries that need to come into the door.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I'll die. So being able to sell things so that I can do that and like not have to go to, lay bricks every day. Like,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and you do have a lot of free content out there. So it's I no, that's really cool that you have a range for people, a price range and everything. No, and I think that answered their question as well. So thank you for that. I want to move on because you mentioned your team, and it looks like you, from what I've saw on your site and everything. I couldn't obviously go too far. That's why I want to ask you this. In your about page, there's only so much you can read, but you're the main designer, the main ideas guy, the one that drives all the big decisions, according to your website. But I wanted to ask, how do you balance being the designer, the ideas person, and the decision maker? How do you do all that?
I mean, it's not very hard. Like, because I do all of that and most of the coding, um, it just happens right away while I'm
Mm.
creating. So it's not,
Oh wow.
I don't have a design document, and I don't like come up with ideas in a vacuum. There's very rarely brainstorming that occurs. It's just like,
Hmm.
oh, I have a good idea, and then I do it. And because I'm the boss, I'm the Jigarbov of Jigarbov Productions.
Hmm.
I just do it. I don't have to ask anyone.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, so like in that regard, it's very streamlined. So I cut out all of the the discussions and the meetings and all of that stuff, and
Mhm.
everyone who's with me is on the same page. Like, if I have an idea and I think it's a good one, I'll put it forward and be like, I'm going to make this. Can you please make a model that, looks kind of like this? And can you please animate it to do these cool things?
Hmm.
And, those two specific things, Blue Hush would then, build it, or Juju Style would do the model. And then he's, a gun at like animating. Sometimes I'll like send a crude animation done in Blockbench and everyone will have a good laugh, but at least then there's a sort of a direction on how to do. And I very often just use paint and just draw a terrible concept art and
Oh,
then
wow.
give that to, Blue to build based on that. So yeah, like there's and after that, there's like I trust them completely. They're both amazing at their work,
Hmm.
and then they do that. I recently started working with a friend from Canada who does some coding stuff, and that's been like a great help too. So I can offload some of that stuff. But again, like I open the issue, I say exactly what I want. If there's any confusion, he'll ask like, is this what you mean? Or like, is this how you want it? And then I'll be like, yep, 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 change it to be upside down. And then he'll just do it. And it's great.
That's awesome. Before I go a little bit further, I want to ask you some questions about your team, but
Sure.
back to your ideas. I want to ask, where do you get most of your ideas at? You would say, like in your office, at home. Like, you say it's not a vacuum, but where do you seem to have them the most? If I may
Um,
ask.
like not anywhere in particular. Like it will just sort of come to me if someone makes a suggestion or whatever. Then
Hmm.
I will just think about what I would like for that to be, and then I will just sort of make that happen.
Okay.
Yeah, like clarity of thought helps. So if I'm stuck on a particularly difficult problem, or if I think something is not working the way it should, like why isn't it as fun? Then a shower or going to the toilet are both two very good ways to like it'll just hit you when you least expect it and be like, oh, like of course, like why can't I blah blah blah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, the
No,
perfect
I had to
ways to
ask.
get ideas.
I just had to ask because I mean, going through some of this, like, yeah, you have you have a big imagination. I'll say it just
Thanks.
it's pretty awesome. I love it. Um, so back to your team, how'd you find and organize because of such a talented crew of people? Because it seems like they must have an immense amount of talent to assemble this and refine it.
I think I just got lucky. I didn't really find any of them. They all just sort of found me. I guess the
Hmm.
exception is Juju Style, who I found, working on mutant stuff for himself on MCPEDL. And that's like, where people go to download free, add-ons and worlds and stuff for Bedrock Edition.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I reached out to him and said, "Hey, I have this series that I want to make. It's called Monster Battle Arena. I made the first one. Here is this. I would love to make a mutant version of this. Using your mutants and new mutants and things like that." And he thankfully agreed. And he's just gotten better ever since. And yeah, like Blue Hush, she when I was doing early content for free, she was part of a build team called the Broken Buttons, who was with Blame the Controller, who made a map called the Kingdom of the Sky.
Hmm.
And that team was just sort of didn't really have anything to do at the time, I think, or they were just looking for a project or something like that. I don't know. I was in conversations with them. So I had made a map called City of Love. I was interested in making a map called City of Love 2.
Hmm.
And either they or I reached out, or it was just organic in a conversation to be like, hey, I would love to do this. Do you want to build it, and then Blue Hush ended up building most of it by herself. And yeah, like when Marketplace came along, I thought, well, I need a builder, and she's great, and I've already worked with her before. Um, do you want to work with me? And she was like, yep. And that was it.
Awesome. Awesome. How large is your team?
So like I've pretty much named most of the core members.
Okay.
Like my wife also does a lot of the back end business stuff that I don't like to do, like all the accounting and paying invoices and things like that.
Oh, nice, nice.
Like my first set of key arts, which is like the box art for these maps and stuff,
Hmm.
I got on Fiverr. And, we're there's a couple of resources where you can get sounds and stuff if you pay a subscription. So I get a lot of sounds and stuff from there. I think it's called SoundSnap. I work with a musician named
Mm.
Drifting Away, and he's done a few music tracks for us in Tetris and Symburbia,
Oh, wow,
and
that's
things
awesome.
like that. And like I met him through the Realms program, putting maps on Realms on Java. Because he wanted to remake, or there was some conversation about the Herobrine Mansion series, so we met through that, and then he just happened to go down the music avenue, and I knew him. I was like, "Hey, you want to make me some music?" He was like, "Yep." So
Oh, wow.
yeah, like the people I collaborate with are just mostly people that I've met organically. Um, yeah, and yeah, there's no trick.
Okay. No, I just wanted to know how you assembled such a great team. No, that's great to hear. I
Yeah,
do want to ask,
mostly
how do you
friends.
okay, friends? No,
Yeah,
that's even better.
yeah.
How do you foster innovation and creativity within your team?
As far as innovation goes, like I will say that I read all of the change logs anytime someone updates, like anytime Mojang updates the game. Um,
Oh,
uh, you know, I read all of that stuff and then I implement them. I'm always looking for new things, but yeah, it's just I drive. It's more or less, it's less about looking for things that are different and more about
mm,
looking for ways to do things that I wanted to do already.
gotcha. Do you draw inspiration from some of the updates from Minecraft, such as like the chicken variants and everything that's been going on? Do any of their? I know that you kind of mentioned it. It doesn't influence it, but do you get inspiration from anything that they release?
Well, yeah, because we make, so we've got a couple of maps or add-ons actually that use a lot of the default stuff.
Hmm.
So we've got a sticker add-on that has stickers of each of the different mobs. They walk up to a book, the book closes on them, and then out pops a sticker.
Mm.
So we'll obviously make variants of those mobs as stickers as well. But also, I just saw a picture from Juju Style, who is working on the Battle Mutants add-on update.
Oh, cool.
And he's shown me the mutant chicken, which is a new one. And we also have, and this is his something that you haven't heard anywhere else yet. We have one of each of the different textures of chicken. So,
Oh,
that's
cool.
yeah. So like we're always looking to see what vanilla does. And because, especially with the add ons, I try to treat them as if they were vanilla updates. We
Mm,
want to really incorporate directly into the vanilla sort of experience. So, with the Battle Mutants add on, for example, to get some of the core materials that you use to make mutants and do mutant stuff, you kill the monsters and then the monsters drop a rare essence that you then use to craft stuff. So
oh,
it's all
neat.
we try to integrate directly into the Minecraft experience. So knowing what they're doing and knowing what their updates are going to be, yeah, I'm always following the previews, just as everyone else is who loves Minecraft, to see what they're coming up with next, and then
Hmm.
trying to put our own spin on it.
No, that's awesome. And I have to ask you because this is what led me to being introduced to you. But the poisonous potato add-on, was in reaction to last year's April Fool's um, update of theirs?
Well, yeah, so that came out. The poisonous potato add-on came out at the same time as the poisonous potato snapshot. Um, yes, Mojang reached out and said, "Hey, do you want to make an add-on?" And I was like, "Yes." And that's basically the amount of collaboration that went on between those two. So you'll notice they're like quite different. And there's certainly amount of limitation in Bedrock add-ons versus being able to code, from the ground up. So there's no like flotato or like poisonous potato dimension, but we do have things that Bedrock is good at doing, like a bunch of a tameable pet, the mutato, a couple of different vehicles, like a super fast minecart that's powered up with poisonous potatoes, and a lot of those other things that it does do well at. So, so they're both very different. Although some people are disappointed about that, but that's just the way it
Oh.
is. I was just happy to be asked for one, and also happy that Bedrock finally got some April Fool's love, because they don't usually. Yeah.
No, I thought that was really neat. I mean, it took me about a year until I played your add-on, but when I was playing it, my first question was, why can't I sit in my vanilla version of Minecraft? When I when I was able to sit on the potato chair and couch, I was so pleased. That
Yeah,
was
it's a
amazing.
revelation, isn't it? So that's something
Oh my
that
gosh.
all of us add-on makers do, is, and because Bedrock makes it very easy to add any entity you want. So making a chair and a couch is like super easy, barely an inconvenience, and
Oh
you
my
can just
gosh.
sit on them like you would a minecart.
Yes.
And yeah, so
Yes.
so we add them to everything.
My brother and I, he was on the show. He comes on frequently, and he's my artist. And we were discussing about things we want in Minecraft, and sitting down was one of them. So to do that in the poisonous potato add-on, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to say. Just
I mean, yeah, like we haven't made any, but there's full furniture add-ons on Bedrock that it's all like, everything you could ever want, and you can sit on
that's
a lot
awesome.
of it. So like, yeah, like that, yeah. It is funny because like people in Java really want that, and it's
Yes,
surprisingly difficult to do over there, but in Bedrock, super easy.
well, give it to us in Bedrock. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
uh, I do want to ask you this: what's been the most challenging project for you and your team, and why was it a challenge?
Oh, most challenging project. I would actually say Simburbia was probably the most challenging at the time,
Mm,
because we were using features that didn't come out yet.
mm,
So it's no secret that there was a program called the Holiday um, Creator Features. And basically, a lot of those features sort of came about at the same time as us developing a bunch of maps. So, Simburbia, Terra Swoop Force, and another one whose name escapes me. I'm sorry. And, we made those maps, and we were using these features that just didn't exist, and we were working towards those existing. So
mm.
a lot of the features that are all in Bedrock now proper, which is great, but back then, like, we basically had to make a whole lot of assumptions about how things would work, and then like we finally hit the landing, and they came out and it was great.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
Okay.
like in that regard, that was really really hard. But more recently, like, we worked with Tetris. We made the Tetris DLC and Tetris add-on. That was quite a challenging project as well, because number one, playing Tetris in Minecraft is cool and also very difficult to get right if you follow all of the rules. So there's a lot of Tetris specific things that go into how to play Tetris. So we had to
Mm.
follow all of that. But also then converting that entire landscape into a dungeon um, was, or is pretty crazy to
Yeah.
consider even playing, but then like figuring out the back end and how that would work, how it reads the grid, how it orientates the
Oh my
room, how it makes a
gosh.
dungeon from start to the end, creates a path from the start to end to make sure there's no, there's actually a valid path. That kind of thing was quite difficult as well. But
Gosh.
the end result is awesome, I think.
How long did some Well, I guess I'll just go with that. The Tetris DLC, right? It was a DLC or
Yeah. So
add-on?
there was a DLC and an add-on. The DLC,
Hmm.
they were mostly concurrent, but I would say it was about 6 months, something
6
like
months.
that, maybe a year. I don't know.
Wow.
There was a lot of prep. Um, yeah,
And
it
did
was.
you have to collaborate closely with I don't know the parent company of Tetris off the top of my head, but did you have to collaborate with them just to make sure everything was
Yeah, so I don't think it's a secret that all of the Mojang IP content is made in close collaboration with the original IP holders. So yes, there was conversations with the Tetris company.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So I wanted to ask you how. Well, I kind of already touched or base on all this. Here, I wanted to ask you. Well, just pick your brain. I don't know if you can really even divulge much of this, but do you have any new additions or anything coming out that you're excited about that you could tell us?
Like that. I mean, I'm always working on something. We actually just launched the a V1.3 and 1.4 because I broke something
Hmm.
in the Battle Mutants add-on, and that adds a whole bunch of new features. And that I just put the update video out today. But in terms of what is on the horizon, lots of updates to existing content. There's been a whole lot of Minecraft updates, so I want to really like reflect those in our stuff. I have a big survival series called the Abstraction series, and that's like Skyblock if you ran it through a crazy filter. So one of them is like just a bunch of lines. Other one is like
Oh
planets,
wow.
and
Oh cool.
there's been a couple of updates, and I want to reflect that in there. So we added a caves planet, or like like a pale garden planet
Oh
and
wow.
things like that. So yeah, like that's basically what we're working on, as well as um, new stuff that has yet to be announced.
That's awesome. What's the future hold for Jigarbov Productions? Any long-term goals that you'd like to share?
Um, like not really.
Okay,
Just to
fair
to
enough.
not go under, I guess. It's no lie that the games industry is a fickle beast, and
Mm,
we're not immune to it. As partners, we are in that same space. I've been
mm.
thrilled that we've been able to do it for 8 years now, which is just wild. I would love to keep doing it. So hopefully we get to. There's not, yeah, I don't, I don't really have any long term goals, and that's probably not a good thing for a
Oh,
business owner. But like, I just, yeah, want to keep going. There's like, honestly, I've worked on Tetris and Mojang. Like, I don't know what, like, those are like um, dream projects that have come true, and yeah, I don't know what could be bigger. So
y-
I'm just happy to keep doing what I'm doing.
no, I I think that's a great long-term goal that you have is just keep doing what you're doing. Honestly, you do a great job, and I just I just wanted to say thank you for coming on the show. Jigarbov. It's been a pleasure to have you. You've answered so many questions, and it was fascinating to hear how you got into how you essentially formed Jigarbov Productions and and the background to that. And I'm just appreciative that you allowed me to pick your brain today. It was a
Yeah.
true pleasure to talk to you. You're a legend in the Minecraft community.
I think that's probably an overstatement, but I appreciate you reaching out, and I am more than happy to talk whenever.
Yeah, I would love to have you back on the show. You're more than welcome. Come back anytime. And I want to just say we can find you at your Twitter, now X profile, which is x.com/Jiggerbob. And you also have a YouTube channel.
That's
I'm
right.
going to I'm going to drop those in my the show description for people to access. Am I forgetting anywhere that you would like to mention?
Like, I mean, I have a TikTok. Oh, well, I don't actually have. I have a TikTok that's like Jigarbov Maps. Someone else who was pretending to be me and even like posting my content is on the
Oh no.
Jigarbov TikTok. But
Really?
like, yeah, I don't care.
Oh god, wait,
But
somebody's impersonating you and posting your content?
yeah, it was very,
Oh
very
my
strange.
gosh.
Yeah. Like they only did a few. I'm sure it was just some kid having some fun, which is fine.
Okay.
We do have an Instagram, but I barely use. I have a Facebook that I barely use. I'm definitely most active on YouTube. I even like use community posts and X. Although I have Blue Sky as well and a
And you do have Blue
Threads.
Sky. I'll get those there. And what's your website?
Jigarbov.net. That like yeah. I'm available like most places, and if you reach out, I'll probably answer. And if I don't, I might in a month or two when I remember that social media place exists.
Well, maybe I'll get a chance for you to announce all that again if you come back on the show sometime. I
Sure
love
thing.
talking to you, and I'm sure you're going to produce a lot of stuff, and I would love to get you back on someday if you're willing. And Jigger Bob,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, it was great, and I wish you a great rest of your day. Hello, Realm News fans. I just wanted to pop back in here and just tell you all how much I appreciate you for listening to the show. It means the world to me that you tune in every week to listen to me, the Dark Lord, the one who puts the real in realm and expands your mind one block at a time. I am honored to be your host and to be able to deliver you weekly original Minecraft content with Realm News Flash and Realm News on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you enjoy the show, I would love it if you would tell your friends about it and tell them to follow it. Hit that like button and leave a comment. I know that on Spotify, you can leave comments on individual episodes. Same on Good Pods. I'm not sure about all the other podcast player platforms out there, but I appreciate feedback. So please comment if you're able to. If you can't comment wherever you listen to Realm News, then you can by following Realm News at either its Twitter, now X, Blue Sky, Reddit, or email, which is all found at bio.link/realmnews, all lowercase. Again, that is bio.link/realmnews. There, you can become a Realm News Patreon member. I urge you all to sign up to the Copper or Diamond tier and get early access to episodes, bonus episodes, newsletters, and ebooks. Find my prices at my Patreon link, all found at bio.link/realmnews. I understand times are tough, and I do not expect anyone to give me money. I am just saying that if you are able to, it's very much appreciated. However, you can show your appreciation by just listening, liking, following, or recommending the show, as I said earlier. That means more than you would ever know. With that said, I wish you all happy crafting, and I look forward to talking to you all at the next Realm News. The Dark Lord. Signing out.